Hello internet, and today's video is going to be a top 5 Wednesday. Today's topic is going to be hidden gems in your favorite genre. And I can't really say I have a favorite genre. I have genres that I reach to. I'm usually an SFF person. I like sci-fi, I like fantasy. I'm just a fiction person overall. However, I am known to love books outside of that. So these are just 5 books in general that I find are hidden gems that I want to hear more people talking about, discussing, and let it be known that I'm like not the most actively extroverted person who's like stalking and watching what everyone else is reading. So I'm not quite sure if these books are like actual hidden gems, or in my perspective of what I've seen people talking about, they seem like hidden gems. As far as I'm aware, these are books that I don't see people talking enough about, and I wish that they would talk more about because they're amazing books. First, we're going to go with The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Rae Carson. I feel like this is one of the go-to books when people are talking about hidden gems. This is about a princess, and she is going to be marrying a king of another country, and she also has this thing that's very special about her, and she has a godstone embedded in her stomach. Now, this means that people believe that she is a chosen one of God and she has some special task that she has to do. Now, what I really liked about this book was that our main character is a fat girl and she has to struggle a lot with becoming a person for her to be proud of. So throughout the whole trilogy, we learn her accept her body, realizing that she is capable of things, that she's not just a princess to sit in a tower or a girl to be sold off into marriage for whatever reasons, that she has value and that she can add value to situations. It is about her learning to trust herself and just learning to love herself overall, while also having this really interesting magic system and this really interesting history that I definitely loved learning about. This takes place in a Latinx sort of society and is based on Latinx culture. So another reason why I really enjoyed this book, and I think more people should at least give it a shot. Second book I'm going to talk about is Fledgling by Octavia E. Butler. Octavia E. Butler is one of my favorite SFF writers. She was someone who was introduced to me by my grandmother, and my grandmother loves me, so of course she gave me all the Octavia Butler books she had, and this is one of my favorite ones. If you cannot tell, it's like pretty beat up because I reread this so many times. This is about a young girl named Shori. Well, not really a young girl, a young vampire named Shori, and she ended up losing all her memories when her little town of vampires is attacked, and she is trying to figure out what happened to her family, and why they attacked her. Octavia Butler tends to write about racial issues, how it's not good to judge people, how people tend to judge others and make assumptions based on how people look, and the hatred that lives in everybody's hearts about these things, and just how awful it is. So in this book, it's talking about a vampire society, and I love these vampires so much because they have symbiotic relationships with their humans that they mate with. They tend to create like a little harem of people that are supposed to give them blood, and in return they extend their symbiote's life. I just like the relationships that Shuri has with her symbiotes, of her discovering and rediscovering who she is and who she wants to be. I like this exploration of seeing this very small black vampire. I've always loved books that have a very small petite woman being a badass person and being strong and being underestimated but then proving herself, because two of the people I love most in my life are very small petite women, and they are the most badass women I know. So I definitely like when books have women like that, because I'm just like, see, I know they're badass and everyone else needs to know as well. Book number 3 goes to Hero by Perry Moore. This is a superhero book. It has queer themes in it, and our main character is a boy who is struggling with his identity. Not so much in admitting to himself that he is gay, but understanding that the world around him, and especially his father, is probably not going to be too happy about the people that he is attracted to. So this book takes place in a superhero society, and superheroes are common occurrences. Now this boy finds out that he has superhero abilities. He is a sort of healer, if I am not mistaken. He decides that he's going to sign up for a superhero program, but he has to do this all behind the backs of his father, who is ostracized from society for some reason. Everybody hates his father, and his father in return hates everybody else, and especially superheroes. So this young guy is going to have to figure out how to keep all these secrets from his father, but also trying to figure out why his father hates superheroes so much, what's all this history going on that no one really seems to want to talk about, and why is there such a tragic history. So I just love how this boy acts. Okay, this is what I loved most about this book. I love that this book, the main character didn't fall into some sort of stereotype. He was a basketball player, but he was also lean. He liked men, but he wasn't like flamboyant about it. But he was very confident in himself and his understanding. He wasn't meant to be like this badass superhero kid. He is a healer. Like, he's just the healer kid. But I loved how he took everything in stride, how he was like, I'm just gonna figure out how to do this stuff. And he didn't let anyone else's opinion about him really drag him down, or any sort of stereotypes drag him down. He was really focused on getting what he needed to get done, about figuring out what was going on. And even when everyone else wanted to kind of say something to him about like how he should be acting, or oh, you're like this or you're like that, he was like, no, I don't have time for you. I got things to do, and I really can't be worrying about your opinions every day. So I just like how apathetic he was to everyone else's influence, and he was just really determined to just do what he needed to do to make his life better for himself. So I like this book, and I want more people to read it, because I like seeing superhero books that have queer characters in it, especially when they're main characters. So I want like more people to talk about it so that I can get more books that follow in line with the things that I like, because that's how I think this stuff works. Book number 4 goes to The Tiger's Daughter by K. Arsenault Rivera. This is the first in a series. You have probably heard me talk about this like 3 billion times on my channel, because this is one of my favorite books ever, and I just need everybody to go pick up and read it. But I know it probably won't happen as soon as I like, because this was a new release towards the end of last year of 2017. So I know for most people it takes a little while, because no one really wants to like constantly be buying new releases. I get it, but I need more people to read this book. So this book takes place in ancient Asia, and it is following 2 main characters. They are destined to be together. Their destinies are entwined. They are 2 badass female warrior women, and they end up becoming partners in battle and lovers. They're unapologetic about their loves, and they're really, really determined to figure out what their destiny is and be the badass women that they are. I love the way that story is told. I like that we get to sit with these characters for a while. We get to see them from a young age to adulthood. We get to see how they became the women that they are, what kind of choices they made, and what kind of actions and transactions happened. And it was just a great epic fantasy that I really, really, really love, and I need more people to read, because I need more books like this, and I need that second book to come out as soon as possible. So again, this is just me selfishly telling you the kind of books I need you to read, so hopefully publishers will see what I want to read and then will produce more of it. And the last book that I'm going to mention is Echo by Pan Muñoz Ryan. This was a surprise to me. I picked this one up on a whim. I wasn't really knowing what I was expecting. I had seen it around somewhere. I was like, that looks pretty. and it was the best $5 I have ever spent. Like, this was a masterpiece. On the back of this book it says, "This is a beautifully crafted story. It has mystery, adventure, a powerful sense of hope and heart, a masterpiece." And I could not agree more. I usually think that these back pages where other people are telling you about the story are just absolute crock. I never read them, but I have to agree with that. This is about a harmonica and its journey and how it connects with 3 different people across the period of time of World War II. The story starts with one character right before Nazi Germany becomes a full thing, and then towards the end, right after Pearl Harbor and in America. So we follow 3 characters, 2 boys and then 1 girl, and their journey of how this harmonica connects them together. If you read this book, I would highly suggest you take and you get the audiobook, because this book does have a lot to do with music and how music connects these 3 children, how it uplifts their lives, and then it makes the hard times a little bit easier. And I don't know how many people are familiar with harmonica music. I'm assuming that majority of us don't really listen to a lot of harmonica music. Maybe it's just me, but I never really thought of it. But if you're listening to the audiobook, they do take the time to play the harmonica songs, to stop narrating the book, to play the songs that are being described in this, and you really just get to hear what everyone else is hearing. You get that feeling of this music, you get to hear it. These become more than just names of pieces, but you get to see and hear what sort of story this harmonica is telling and how it affects these kids' lives. So I definitely think more people need to read Echo, because it is a really beautiful, beautiful book, and it was heartbreaking, but in the very best way. And you leave this book with a smile. Like, you leave this book a little bit happier with, like, your reading choice. Like, you're just smiling and grinning at the end because it's just so heartwarming. Those were the 5 books that I think are hidden gems in whatever genre I like, which is many, as you can kind of tell. I read whatever I find interesting, so these are just hidden gems that I think more people should read, whether or not because they're really good books and you probably should read them because they're really awesome, or just because I just want to get the word out there so that publishers can realize the type of books that I, Chenoa, like, and then start making and publishing more of those so that I can potentially read more books that are similar to these ones. So it's like 2-part me being helpful and 2-part me just being like really selfish and wanting you to read them just so that you can rave about them, and publishers are going to be like, yep, we definitely need to make sure we look out for more of those sort of books. So yeah, if you like what you're seeing here and you want to continue to see more, click all those bunnies down below, and goodbye, internet.